Welcome everybody. So thrilled to have you all here. It's always so amazing to see who shows up, you know? um, Welcome to the Deep Time Network. You know, we're a global network and we have basically four lineages are coming into our network. They're coming from a Montessori lineage, a news story lineage represented by Teilhard de Chardin, Thomas Berry, Brian Swim, a big history lineage, and a systems theory lineage. And all of these lineages have in common looking at the grand narrative of the universe as foundational. So welcome. And I just want to acknowledge some of our audience, though we've really been acknowledging each other already. We have a very large contingent from Australia. Kathy Duffy, I mentioned before. Hi, Jana. Large contingent from Australia. Kathy Duffy, the new president of the American Teilhard Association. We have artists like Imogene Drummond and Betty Kisilov, and the book that she's done. Judy Bauerlein, former president of the American Montessori Society, and who's been teaching cosmic education for decades. Bing Carranza from the Philippines, Dwayne Short from Iowa. We have students from the Hidden Heart of the Cosmos study group like Missy Lauren, Bruce McGraw, and Sarbmeet Kanwal, who will be one of our teachers in our upcoming course. Jane Blewett, I haven't seen Jane Blewett yet, but she is registered. Carol Kilby, who gave a program with us a year ago.
To see you, I think.
Well, it said, and it also says mute. I'm muted.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. Okay, muting everybody. Okay, so please, everybody, keep yourselves muted. Okay, you'll be keeping yourself muted for most of the time. All right. Now. Seems like everybody's becoming fairly Zoom literate or very literate, more literate than I am. You have a gallery view right now. You can also do a speaker view. If you drag your cursor up to the top right, you can click on speaker view and that'll enlarge the person who's talking. There is a chat box where you can put questions. So you just drag your cursor down to the bottom and you'll see a little chat bubble. Click on that, and then you can type questions in there. So when Steve is talking or Maureen is talking, you can put your questions or comments in there. And if you want to say where you are, just say hello to everybody from wherever you are. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to introduce Steve and Maureen. Maureen's going to do an opening meditation. And then Steve will talk for 20 minutes. And while he's talking, post questions for reflection in the chat box. And then we'll have some breakout groups for about 12 minutes. We'll come back to the large group. And then Maureen will lead us in a meditation reflection, a longer one. And then I'll talk a little bit about some upcoming programs and resources. And we'll be finished by 8:15. Of course, let's see. We are recording this, so I will be sending out a recording. And there is one continuing professional development hour provided for participating. This is recognized by the American Montessori Society. And if you'd like a certificate, please be sure to stay in the meeting until it's finished. Okay, so introductions. I'm Jennifer Morgan. I'm president and founder of the Deep Time Network. I've written a universe story trilogy for children, including the titles Born with a Bang, From Lava to Life, and Mammals Who Morph. Steve Martin is an astronomer, educator, and author who has taught astronomy, physics, and consciousness studies at colleges, universities, and learning centers across the US and Europe for over 25 years. Between 2003 and 2008, he studied directly with Brian Swim and others at the California Institute of Integral Studies, out of which came his first book, Cosmic Conversations. He leads workshops on the new cosmology, and he is leading our upcoming course, Cosmology, Consciousness, and Birthing the Ecozoic, which starts on September 23rd Registration closes on September 16th. By the way, we already have 91 people registered for that course. We're quite blown away with the response. Maureen Wild, her primary work is that of educator, speaker, and retreat guide on themes of spiritual ecology, the wisdom of our cosmic story, and Laudato Si. She's featured in the book Green Sisters, A Spiritual Ecology, published by Harvard University Press. So with that, Maureen, would you like to lead us in our opening meditation?
Okay, here's a little poem for all of us. We're all entering equinox, whether it's spring in the southern hemisphere or fall here in the northern hemisphere. This just sort of popped out for me the other evening, this reflection. Light, light within us, light from the original flaring forth now in this moment, in this cyberspace place of questers seeking to know light. To know light is to know oneself. To know light is to delve into mystery. What is light? Who is light? Who is the light of the world? Those who light up their own world with kindness, with love, with warm smiles and laughter. Who is the light of our world? Our brother, sun, who brings the day and gives constantly, magnanimously, tons of energy every second of every hour of every day of our lives. And we feast on this giving of light, radiant energy that dances the tango with earth, an intimacy that brings forth mangoes and kiwi, melons and Mozart, you and me. Don't go, stay a little longer, we say now in the northern hemisphere. Ah, we've got you back again. Keep on coming and warm us through and through, we say now in the southern hemisphere. As our own equinox nears, may your warming or fading light keep shining through all of us and within all of us, from north to south and south to north, in this cyberspace place, as our own equinox nears.
Oh, thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you.
Yeah, that just helped us to really settle down and to get oriented to what this whole evening is about. Thank you. So Steve, are you ready to, I don't even know where you are, but I know you're there.
I'm here, Jennifer. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you, Jennifer and the network, for sponsoring this program and for everyone coming on at this time. And Maureen, thank you for a lovely contemplation of light. This is a time of year when the light is changing very quickly. Light is changing to darkness, and darkness is changing to light. And when we reach a time of equinox, it's a time of global balance. Both hemispheres are balanced. Everyone on Earth experiences exactly 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. And for these special times during the year, there's a balance here. In fact, the sun is directly over the Earth's equator. You can draw a line from the Earth's core through the equator, through the core of the sun, and it's all lined up. So it's a very special time of year, and thank you all for joining us for this special program. As an astronomer, I've been fascinated with light my whole life. In fact, that's really one thing astronomers work with more than anything else is light, because it's how we know the universe. But even in our daily lives, we're surrounded by this phenomenon that we call light, which is profoundly familiar to us, but also deeply mysterious. And there's so much we can say about light. I think we're going to go into some of the depths of its mysteries in a future program. But for tonight, I'd like to walk you through some of the mysteries of light that you might encounter in your everyday life. And so I'm going to share the screen here, give you some visuals to enjoy. So here we are at the equinox, and whether you're going into spring or going into fall, it's a time of balance when everything is aligned. But I'd like to take you on a journey and imagine that you've just woken up in the morning, and this is true for our Southern Hemisphere friends. If you've been sleeping during the night and have dreams, you've been experiencing a form of light with electrical activity in your brain. So you're experiencing a form of inner light because electricity is a form of light. But let's imagine that you open your eyes for the first time and you see a beautiful illumination caused by the morning sun coming through your window. And as your eyes open, the light from the window rushes in through your pupils, registers on your optic nerve, where it's translated into electrical and chemical signals, which travel to your brain, which create a new experience of electrical activity as an image in your awareness. Now, all these signals, messages, and images are made of light. So the light of our inside experience meets the light of the world in our eyes, which are literally the interface between our experience of ourselves and the outside world. So it's no wonder that people say that the eyes are doorways to the soul. And yet, what about that light that enters your eyes from the world? Where does it come from? Well, we may have learned in school that we see objects because of light reflecting from them. So let's say you look out this other window at your beautiful garden, filled with colors and delights of different types. And so we see some flowers here, and we'll take a look at these tulips. We may have learned in school that we see these tulips because they're reflecting red light. They're being illuminated by the sun or some light source. We're seeing red from the tulips because they're absorbing other colors and sending red light to our eyes as a result. And so we see those red. We see the light is refracted. But this is only partially true. It turns out that we need a light source to see these objects, but we're not seeing the light of the sun in this example. What's happening at an atomic level is actually very interesting. Light from the sun is entering the tulips. The tulips' atoms are absorbing them, and then the very atoms of the tulips are re-radiating that light freshly from those atoms themselves. This is an atomic diagram of what's happening here. In this left image, you have this squiggly line, which is a photon or a particle of light coming into the atom. The atom catches it, absorbs it, holds it close to itself, and then re-emits exactly the same energy, or very close to it, from the atoms themselves. So when you look at these beautiful tulips, or any object that's emitting light, you're not just seeing the reflected light, you're seeing the light of those objects themselves. So you are seeing the radiance of the tulips coming out, streaming directly to you, being activated, enlivened by the sun's light. But what you're seeing is the essence of tulip emerging freshly in that moment. And so the tulip is producing the photons, it's producing the light in that moment that's reaching your eyes. And so whenever you see another person, a place, a thing, you're seeing them freshly in the moment. Their atoms are literally glowing with light from them that's being absorbed from whatever's lighting them up, but it's coming from their atoms themselves. It's of themselves. So they are radiating themselves into the world in a sense like a star. So this brings a new intimacy to our relationships and the world around us as the light from ourselves enters each other through our eyes. So in some sense, the energetic essence of ourselves intermingles with other beings through seeing them. So seeing is a sacred connecting act in that you're actually taking in some of their essence through your eyes. And this brings, a potential for great intimacy with whatever you're interacting with through light. Really, really remarkable. And it's as if you're seeing the other person for the first time. And you literally are, because that light has never been emitted by them before this moment. And so it's happening again and again and again. The world is offering itself freshly to us in every moment. Well, let's say that you appreciate the tulips there, but you feel a little chilly. And so you decide to turn on a heater and you warm yourself up with the heater. What you're experiencing from the heat of the heater is actually infrared light. So what we call heat in our daily lives is actually the radiance of infrared light. It turns out that our skin is covered with special sensors which are sensitive to heat, sensitive to actually infrared light. So you see there are actually many different types of light. So we see a tiny, tiny amount of the full range of light, which we call the visible spectrum. This is roughly 1% of all the different kinds of light that are out there. So there's X-rays and gamma rays, ultraviolet, infrared, microwave, radio waves, all that's out there. When you're feeling heat from your skin, say from this heater, as it's warming you up, your skin is actually seeing the infrared light. It's registering, in these sensors. You could say they're almost like eyes in your skin, and you're feeling the light, which we call heat, in the infrared. So it's really amazing that our bodies have this capacity not only to see light, but to actually feel it. And we have these heat sensors all over our skin so we can feel it. And everything, it turns out, that has a temperature is emitting some form of light. And the type of light depends on the temperature. But for objects in our everyday world, we're mostly emitting infrared light. You can try this for yourself, right? Sit next to someone you like, put your hand up to their skin, and you'll feel that they're actually glowing in infrared light. Right? Imagine that. Every one of us is actually glowing with our own light. So even if you were sitting in the dark, a dark closet or a cave somewhere, without any sunlight, without any light source, you would still be glowing with your own light because of the heat that you're emitting, which is actually infrared radiation. Really remarkable. And so here's an image this is a false color image where the computer has colored different temperatures, but people are glowing at infrared. So you can imagine walking down a city street at night and all the people are just glowing, right? They're glowing and they don't even realize it. They're actually glowing and radiating their own light into the world because they have heat. And these heat sensitive cameras are actually very useful for search and rescue, who can actually find people at, sometimes large distances using the special infrared sensing technology. Okay. So we're glowing with the light that's illuminating us. We're glowing with our own light from the heat that we're emitting. And as you have your breakfast, you step outside, you turn your face towards the sun, you're feeling the sun's warmth and light on your skin. You encounter all kinds of other forms of light that the sun radiates, right? The sun is a star. It's emitting light at all different kinds of wavelengths. All the wavelengths I mentioned before, radio waves and infrared and ultraviolet and visible, are all being emitted by the sun. And it turns out that what we see with our eyes from sunlight is a little bit less than half of the light that's emitted from the heat of the sun, and we feel a little bit less of that. But there are other types of light that the sun's emitting that we can't detect with our bodies. But we can feel the sun, we can see the sun, and as we approach equinox, this is a good time to actually turn our attention and appreciate all this light and heat that the sun provides for us, because we would not be here on Earth if it weren't for this glowing star in our midst every day. And the growing darkness for some of us and diminishing darkness for some of us is, a hint that this light source, this radiant being who illuminates our skies every day, is important. So I think it's nice to actually reflect upon our relationship with the sun. If you look at a modern photograph of the sun, and this is only what the sun looks like at one particular wavelength of light. The sun has many dimensions depending what wavelength you're looking at. But the essence of the sun is essentially energy and light. It's not solid like any of the solid things around us, right? Knock a table, it's not like that. It's not like our bodies. It's pure moving plasma, which is essentially a super hot gas. And all this gas is radiating light. So the sun is radiating light through and through itself. In fact, it's filled with light. Now, because the sun is so far away, we don't experience the plasma of the sun directly. What we experience is the sun's light and heat. So in a real sense, the sun is a ball of energetic light filling the universe with its radiance every second of every day. Whether we're experiencing night or day, wherever we live on Earth, whether we can see the sun or not, the sun is still burning away, radiating, pouring itself out into the universe nonstop, and has been doing this for every moment for the past 4.5 billion years. What a remarkable being to spend our lives next to. What generosity that's pouring the essence of itself into the world and creating life in its atmosphere. So as we see the sun in the skies, during equinox or any time, we can appreciate the sun and how it lights our days. It keeps us warm when it's in our skies, but it's also present for us when we don't see it directly, right? Like at night or in a darkened room, or even in a cave. We can appreciate the power of the sun's light and influence when we turn on a lamp inside our house, when we drive our cars, and when we eat our food, because this is all the energy of the sun that's been stored away as ancient sunlight, released as energy and freed up, right? And so when you turn on the lamp, you think of the light bulb glowing, but it's really the sun pouring through your lamp because that's where the energy came from. You drive your car, well, that's energy that's been stored in gasoline, ancient sunlight. And food, of course, is the sun that has been devoured by these plants and is stored chemically, and the food is energy. And so literally our entire lives are powered by sunlight, including ourselves. And so wherever there is light, there is sun. So the energy of ourselves, our ability to think, to move, to act, and to feel is really the sun's energy, coming back to meet itself every time we open our eyes, turn on the light, or feel the warmth of the sun on our skin. So this ancient sunlight, the essence of the sun's energy and radiance, continues to fill ourselves and our lives with this gift that the sun has given us again and again for billions of years. And so we close the loop of a circle of cosmic generosity when we remember where the energy and light that fills ourselves in our life really comes from. We are illuminated from within by the sun, illuminated from without by the sun. And appreciating that, I think, closes a loop that's been happening for billions of years. And so as we reflect on this time of balance, where both hemispheres are in balance, night and day are in balance, look at this image, right? The sun is lighting up the daytime side here on the right side, and the sun is lighting up the nighttime side there on the other side. So remarkable, the influence that the sun has, even when it's not shining directly. So in a very real sense, we are children of the sun. And when we honor this time of day and night, of sunlight and darkness, we acknowledge the role of the sun in our lives and the role of light in our lives, and how the sun's energy, the sun's light, allows us to shine forth in a new way with our own radiance. So as we finish up this presentation and this part of our time together, I would invite each of us to take a moment to pause and reflect on what's your own personal relationship with the sun. And maybe you could sort of open yourself to all that you receive from this generosity in your own life. And so we might take a moment now to kind of ponder this together. And then in a little bit, Jennifer is going to transition us into the next phase, which is Maureen's offering.
We'll just take a moment of silence right now. Thank you so much, Steve. Wow. It's just something to behold and to contemplate. When we think about how the light that's reaching us is not only from the sun, but it's from every object that we are beholding, and how that actually comes in and becomes part of us. So now we're going to go into breakout groups, and we have 88 people. So we're going to break into groups of about 4 people each. And there's going to be a question to just prompt you, don't feel locked to it at all. But the prompt is, what's being lit up or sparked for you in what you just heard? And so it'll be 12 minutes. So spend 2 minutes per person to say what this is lighting up for you. And I'm gonna copy this and put it in the chat box so you'll have it right there. And then after each person has had a chance to say something for 2 minutes each, then just discuss it together. And then I'll call you back 1 minute at 11 minutes, and then you'll have 1 more minute to finish. Okay. Steve and Maureen, do you want to go into breakout groups?
That's fine. Yeah, I'd be
Okay,
happy with it. Yeah.
great. Okay, good. All right. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, so here everybody goes. Let me just. We just lost a few people who don't want to go into breakout groups. let me recalculate this quickly. Okay. All right. Okay, there we go. Steve, are you there?
Yes, I'm back, Jennifer.
Oh, great. There you are.
There he is.
Yay. Oh, hi, Carol Kilby. I hadn't seen you before either. So,
Betty.
yeah.
I'm trying to say hello to Betty. Hi, Betty.
Oh, hello there. I was looking for your pictures. Oh, I don't know which video you're talking about.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Hi, Dan. I see you're here.
Okay, so let's take a few moments to kind of harvest, what happened in your groups, and I'm going to let Steve facilitate that. Now, you know what, Steve, one thing we could do, because people were talking in their groups, they weren't writing in the chat box while they were in the groups. So maybe if somebody wants to raise their hand and share something about what happened in your group, then I can just call on you and then you can talk. How about that?
That's good.
So there's a little, what you do is there's a little on the bottom of your screen, there should be something that says raise hand. And if you want to raise your hand, you just click on that.
It's in the participants function on my screen.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You click on participants and then you find your name and you can raise your hand.
Okay, great. I see Calvin has his hand up. So Calvin, just unmute yourself and share what you were going to share.
I think I'm unmuted. We're talking about this course and we focus a lot on the science, and I think our group sort of brought out the idea that what you're trying to get us to develop is the sensitivity of an artist, not just the scientist connection. The artists are very tuned into and sensitive to light conditions in their paintings. Someone referenced Monet going to different location, the same location at different times. So we're suggesting you bring in the artistry as well as the science.
Okay, great. Thank you, Calvin. How about Anne Waygood? Just unmute yourself, Anne. Thank you, Calvin.
Okay. Our group talked a bit about the COVID lockdown and the lack of being able to be fully part of the cycle of light without the human contact. And also the point that a lot of people were going out into the gardens, and still are, anywhere into the sunshine where they can actually get that contact with the light, so that the cycle of light, we're looking for it in different ways during the lockdown.
Nice. Yeah. Steve, you want to respond to that?
Well, it's unfortunate that we've been kind of limited by the lockdown, but the nice thing is that light reaches us wherever we are. And so there's always something to appreciate in our environments. You know, for example, I've gotten to know all the flora and fauna in my backyard very, very well. And really I've really, dove deep into my bioregion and really taken that, the disadvantage of a COVID and turned it really to an advantage. And I've discovered so much just in, my square meter of soil, where I am.
That's right.
Yeah.
The exact point we were making. And then Bing was saying that in Philippines, many, many people haven't had that little square to go out to because of their tight apartment little spaces.
That's
so
great.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bing, I see you have your hand raised. Just unmute yourself, Bing.
Yeah, Anne and I were together in the group, and I also pointed out, because we were talking about the lockdown, that we are becoming more and more aware of the light within us, of the sun within us, and we are shining this light through our Zoom meetings, our online activities. We are using the Facebook to brighten each other's day. It's just amazing how we can brighten each other even without seeing. Like it's the sun. So I really believe that the sun is in each one of us, because we can do that even if we are a distance from one another.
Oh, thank you, Bing. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Susan Curry, just unmute yourself, Susan.
Yeah, there's one thing that Stephen shared in our group, and that is that darkness is also important to our health and our bodies. And he mentioned we speak about I'm seeking enlightenment, but the dark has its value. You can't see the night stars without it being a dark night. If you don't have clouds over you don't too much near urban lights. But the rest that we do in the dark is important.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Di Shearer.
Yes, we had Ellen, who was quite new to Deep Time, and we talked a little bit about the 4 lineages, but in the process of talking about the systems, Gaia systems theory, Ellen brought up that her yoga teacher talks a lot about the energetic connections that are happening. And our question from our group was, how does the emission of light connect with what people talk about as energy vibrations? Does Steve have something to say about that?
The only thing I can say about that is that I think we have human sensitivities and capacities that we haven't really fully discovered or realized yet. And I would say that just because we don't have a scientific explanation for it doesn't diminish the fact that it's a capacity that we have. So I would say stay with your direct experience of light or energy or whatever that is, regardless of the explanation. And so the science I'm offering is an invitation to kind of come into your experience and find out for yourself, how is it for you?
Yeah. So are the light waves actually energy vibrations? Is that just a different descriptor of them, or?
Yeah, light waves are essentially energy vibrations. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that I'm not sure whether it gets mixed up or what, but when our nervous systems calm us down, either in a meditative state or whatever, our sense of calm usually feels like light. So it may not be that there's a vibration or whatever, but our calmness and peace gives us that sense of lightness and radiation in some way.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Cindy Terrian asked in chat, does a person's, this is related to what you're saying, Calvin, does a person's mood affect their light? It's interesting, right? I mean, you could imagine with the infrared that it potentially could. I don't know. What do you say, Steve?
It'd be an interesting thing to study. I'd be up for it. I don't know. I don't know that people study that. So it's a great question.
Yeah. Carol Kilby says in chat, awareness no one had active community to study that light as it is used and empowers technology is making it possible to create community. A wonderful and horrific time we are navigating with help of the sun. New look at light, at sun. We are not observing the equinox. We exist because of it. Okay. Well, I think we're ready for Maureen's meditation.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to just share my screen here. And when I share the screen, we'll move into a time of silence for the next 12 minutes or so. And then then there'll be a song that you'll hear. Actually, our song composer, music composer is here with us, Joyce Rouse. And she's given her permission to use this song as well. So that'll be integrated. So this is just a kind of a potpourri of inspirational verse and poetry and prayer that I've woven together with some images. So we'll just begin it, and we'll do this in silence, and you can read. Everything is self-timed.
Did you optimize it, Maureen?
I did.
You don't have to feel
How's it sounding?
to be brave, and I don't have to feel strong to be strong. We don't have to feel inspiring to inspire. Remember when your road is rough and long, even a small star shines in the darkness for someone somewhere to see. It lights the way for those in the distance. That's what your courage means to me. Maybe there are times you feel lonely, like no one sees the world the way you do. Every one of us is made uniquely, and no one ever sees their own magnitude. But even a small star shines in the darkness for someone somewhere to see. It lights the way with those in the distance. That's what your courage means to me. So don't be afraid to be a little brilliant. Don't be afraid to shine in someone's eyes. If we can trust the gifts that sometimes make us different, then we can all learn to shine, shine, shine. Even a small star shines in the darkness for someone somewhere to see. It lights the way for those in the distance. That's what your courage means to me. That's what your courage means to me.
Thank you, Maureen. I think the thing to do now is to just say, have a happy equinox. We've had enough talking. This is great. It's time to just go on. Sweet cosmic dreams to all of you who are heading to bed now. And blessings of the day stars to those of you who are down in the Southern Hemisphere. And thank you so much for coming. This was absolutely beautiful.
You.
Thank you, Joyce, for your music, for your beautiful music. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Blessed equinox. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. This was
Thank you.
really, really
Thank
good.
you.
That's great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Blessings of light back to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Blessings.
Blessings, blessings of the cosmic
Blessings.
light.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Wonderful to see you all.
Thank you, Pamela.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. So great you were here.
Wonderful to see you again, Jennifer.
Yes, great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Good
now.
night. Good night, Sarvneet.
Good night.
Sunmeet. Good night.
Good night. Maureen, that was beautiful. Good night, Cindy.
Or whatever it is, 2:30. Cindy, have a good day. Blessings.
Yeah,
Thank you.
blessings.